Thank you everyone for joining us today at Levittown Public Library. Today is Monday, March 21st at 11 a.m. This class is Posture Alignment with Kimberly. Go ahead, Kim.
Welcome, everybody. First day of spring yesterday. I hope you all got out and enjoyed and honored yourselves in the earth. Thank you, sun. Does it get warm from here on out? I hope so. Today, we're going to be working on some corrective exercise that utilizes 2 blocks or 2 pillows. Some of you are not going to be doing that exercise that I do with this because I know it's going to hurt your lower back. I'll give you a modification for it. So the pillows or blocks that you have today are going to be of equal size. Get books, get a pillow. I don't care what it is. Get something of equal size as we're going to be laying on the floor, doing modified floor block, and then adding in some other moves with that. So I'd actually like you to have 3 pillows if you could, but we'll assess that when we get there. I'll give you a modification if you don't have that many pillows, because I want to do some leg work while we're in modified floor block position. The other thing we're going to need today is a strap or a belt. You guys know, I don't want to go over all this silly stuff. A belt, a lot of resistance, a real belt, no fashion belts, no PT rubber straps. Other thing we're going to be using is a chair or your static back position, ottoman, whatever it is that you've got, about 24 to 26 inches in height for all of our stuff that we do on the floor. We're going to start out in static back today. So you can lay down on your back and go ahead and put your legs up on top of your block. What we want to do here is to trap the body in 90-degree angles when we do this work. If you are a person who cannot get on the floor, then what you can also do is sit in your chair, a nice sturdy chair, like a dining room chair, walk your tailbone as far back as you can, keeping your feet flat on the floor. And you're going to be sitting at a nice 90-degree angle, similar to what I'm doing with you here. So we're going to hold this one for 5 minutes. This is our static back position. Caveat for static back position is, if you notice that your head is pointing behind you and you're facing at an angle towards the wall that is behind you, your shoulder position is causing that. So the remedy is to put something underneath your head so your face can be more neutral to the ceiling, more parallel to the ceiling. I place my arms out at about 45-degree angles to my body with my palms up. 45 degrees from my hip. So I'm talking about the angle of my torso and my arm, the angle that makes. You want to keep that at an acute angle. Some of you might have a hard time turning your palms up. I've encountered that. People whose shoulders are so rounded forward, their shoulder blades are in this protracted state, that they're actually inducing this palm up from their radius and ulna, the lower 2 bones in the arm. And I want you to go palms up from your shoulder. So that's not possible if your shoulder is in such a position that it's rounding forward. So you might have to increase the angle, increase the distance of your hand away from your torso. And that's going to create a better opportunity for your shoulders to remember how to relax back and down. So those are the 2 caveats I encounter in this routine, this exercise. This is an exercise. It is. It might feel easy and look simple, but there is work going on in the body. If you're new with me today, we do this move often because it's such a great move. Everybody enjoys it. It's kind of a do nothing move. And if you're new, I want you to notice where your body is at, how it shows up, what's touching the floor, what's not touching the floor. Over the course of the 5 minutes that we spend here, we're looking for change. Also, if you're new, if something doesn't feel good to you, right to you, something actually causes sincere pain, you have to stop the movement. So you must listen to your body. That's what's different about my approach as opposed to perhaps other instructors and therapists and medical professionals, I don't pretend to know everything about the body. What I do know is that the body has wisdom within it, and we need the body to teach us. And in order for the body to teach us, we have to listen to the body. And a lot of us have ignored our body for so long, we've divorced ourselves from all of its signals, and we don't know what the signals mean anymore. So we now have to reacquaint ourselves with these signals. Mm. I'm sure most of you are getting outside these beautiful weather days that we're having. You definitely need to be getting outside, some fresh air, with as little clothing as you will permit yourself to have, so that the sun can help boost some vitamin D. Your body creates the vitamin D via the sun. Here's a fun fact. I learned that we are one of the only mammals that cannot create its own vitamin C. We have to take that in through our food. Amazing, right? Vitamin D will be created via the sun, so let it hit you. We're going to get ourselves into a working pose in a few seconds. It's going to be our modified floor block. We're going to stay there for a few minutes, and then I'm going to add more exercises to the modified floor block. When we get into modified floor block, it's going to force our upper body to get into extension. So anybody who's got shoulder injuries, like I still kind of have, if you cannot get into this position using the blocks, you can usually do it without the blocks, leaving your arms on the floor. And if worse comes to worse and that's not working out for you, or modified floor block really hurts your lower back, or if modified floor block starts to hurt your lower back, then you can get yourself into another position. So the other position that I'm going to give you instead of modified floor block would be frog position. So this is a position also on the floor. It can be done sitting in a chair, but it's best done laying on the floor. So we're going to put the soles of the feet together and let the knees drop out, and you're going to lay there for a few minutes. And then we'll do the leg exercises in hook lying position. But for everybody else, if you've never done modified floor block, or if you're willing to try it along with me, you're going to take 2 of your blocks. Now I'm going to show you what it's going to look like as if you were I'm on the 2nd floor. So if you were on the 1st floor looking through the floor at me. So I can't show you a bird's eye view of me. So the only way I can describe this and display it is via this way. So this is how our body's going to look laying on the floor. And watch my legs. I'm going to pigeon toe the legs, touch the big toes together. So I'm going to be laying on the floor face down like this. My forearms are going to be propped up on top of the blocks. Try to get as close to a 90-degree angle as you can. Tendency is for a lot of people to lay on the floor and look like this. I want you to really check and make sure your elbows are in a nice straight line across through your shoulders. So I'm going to get you down into modified floor block. Again, if you've been following me, you'll know if this is bothersome for your shoulder, you don't have to raise or elevate your arms in this position. You can do it without the block at all. So I'm laying my arms on top of my blocks. I'm pigeon toeing. And I'm just going to rest my forehead on the floor. Depending on the shape of our noses, you might need to roll something up like a sock or something and put it underneath your forehead to give yourself space to breathe. If you're doing this on a carpet, you've got really shag carpet from the 70s, you might need to put maybe a magazine underneath your face so that you can give yourself space to breathe. I'm going to stay here for a couple of minutes, and then we're going to add some work to this move. Usually I stay in this move for 6 to 10 minutes in order to get some effective results. but we're not going to spend that long here. One of my clients, when Synergy was still in business, she had a hard time doing this with her arms, and she decided to get creative, and she put the blocks right underneath her shoulder joints themselves. And she found that that was more helpful. When I was rehabbing my shoulder, when it wouldn't get in this position, I put the block underneath my shoulder joint as well. And that was helpful. And that came from one of my creative students. Like I said, we have to listen to the body. It's got wisdom. So it told her, hey, do something different. She did, and she got a benefit from it. I'm just going to talk about modifications for this move. If you do not have two blocks, there are other things you can do. Like I said, you can rest your arms right on the floor. It's not going to force them to get into as much extension as with the blocks will, but it will at least still be symmetrical for when we do the work with the legs in another minute or so. The other move, which I think I'm actually going to give to you guys, I think I'll do it. It's called reverse skydiver position. So we're going to throw the blocks away, and I'll show you how to put your fists into the ground, that same position that we're in right now, keep the 90 degrees. And we're going to raise the elbows. It's another funky position. It's unique and it's weird, but it's going to feel real good to some of you. To some of you, you might not be able to do it due to shoulder injuries, possibly. But we'll take what the body can give. Don't get frustrated with yourselves either if you can't do these moves, because I'm killing two birds with one stone. I'm giving you 2 or 3 exercises in one exercise. So there's going to be some part of this that you can do. Okay, I'm going to add some work to this. We're going to stay in modified floor block, but I'm going to have you guys put a block or another pillow or something in between your ankles. And we're going to keep the body in this position. For everybody else, if you're not in modified floor block with me, what you're going to do is you're just going to lay on your back, just like I had you before. I'm going to grab myself another block, just like I had you before. And you're just going to put the block between your ankles with your knees bent. You're going to stay in hook line position. So I've got a ton of blocks to choose from here. So I'm going to use them. Okay. So I'm just going to take my block, put it in between my ankles. And I'm going to stay in modified floor block. We're going to do some ankle squeezes. This will work just fine, even if you're sitting in a chair. Put a block between your ankles or a pillow between your ankles. Grab this sucker. And same thing. I'm going to bend the knees. I'm going to squeeze the block and release it over and over again. So these are ankle squeezes. Again, if you don't have that many blocks and that many pillows around, you can grab something else, get creative. You can grab a roll of paper towels, put that between your ankles. That works. I've done that. I have done that. It's just I got a bunch of yoga blocks here, so I'm going to use them. You guys having as much trouble as I am. My block's falling out of my feet. It's so helpful. Oh, there it goes. Good thing I got another one. It's helpful when you have people that help, isn't it? So what we're doing here is killing 2 birds with one stone. When we're doing these ankle squeezes, some of you might remember the muscle group we're going after, but gluteus minimus, gluteus maximus, we're going after it here. You might feel hamstrings cramp up. You might feel calves cramp up. But ultimately, we need the glutes to kick on. But we're asking the glutes to kick on while we ask the thoracic, your upper body, to stay in extension. For a lot of us, this is a pattern that our body has forgotten how to recruit. It no longer has this pattern anymore. What? Upper body extension? Never heard of it. We like hunching forward and rounding forward. So 2 birds with one stone here. Again, another reminder, if this modified floor block is bothering you, some people who have a different body position, this can hurt the lower back or mid back a lot. You can lay on your back and bend your knees, put the block between your ankles and do the same thing. You can even do it kneeling ankle squeezes. Usually the highest I want your arms off the floor is 6 inches. So don't go any higher than that. Some of my clients said, I can get them higher, Kim. I didn't ask you to. Why are you always trying to go for the biggest and the best? Yeah, you know what? Get your shoulders up to the ceiling while you lay on the floor. Fold yourself in half. You don't want to go too high. You just want to get the upper back in extension. That's all. A little bit longer here. Remember, it's a repetitive motion. I'm squeezing my ankles and foot into the block over and over and over again. It can feel really awkward. It certainly is feeling awkward to me. This type of position is really helpful for people who have the C curve in the spine. That condition 3, condition C, the C curve, if you've watched my YouTube videos, which unfortunately I had to take down recently. All right, I'm going to switch it out now. We're going to put the strap around the ankles. This is going to get interesting, isn't it? So I'm going to put the strap around the ankles. We're still going to stay in modified floor block. If modified floor block is hurting you, you can do this laying down on your back with your knees bent. You can do this sitting in a chair with your knees bent. So now I'm going to put the strap around my ankles. Tighten it up so that your ankles are the same width apart as your hips would be, about the length of a dollar bill. I'm going back to my modified floor block position. Okay, checking my arms. They're at 90 degrees, resting my forehead on the floor. Heels in towards my butt. I am keeping my ankles dorsiflexed, so I'm not pointing my toes like a ballerina. That's plantar flexion. See the position of my ankles? We want the ankles to be opposite of that, like a Ken doll. Remember Ken and Barbie? Barbie was like this. Ken was like this. So that's called dorsiflexion from the ankle. Same thing. I'm applying pressure on the strap over and over again. Push, release, push, release. However, I'm not letting my feet evert. My feet are staying parallel to themselves as if they were just on the floor. Remember how I demonstrated a second ago, how wide I wanted your feet with the strap? My feet were parallel on the floor. So you don't want to make this motion from the ankle. This is a motion to recruit the muscles. I feel like Popeye. The muscles in your hips. I think I'm going to say that like that from now on. Muscles. So I don't want any movement from your ankles on this one. There really isn't a whole lot of movement that's going to be going on in the body. This is more like an isometric exercise because we're pushing and this strap is stopping us from moving. So we're just engaging muscles and then turning them off. You can also get this work done by sitting knee pillow squeezes, lying down on the floor, knee pillow squeezes, static back knee pillow squeezes, the same motion. We're actually asking for internal rotation from both of your femurs. So we're working on the hip joints. And when we put the block in between your ankles, and we squeeze on the block, we're asking for external rotation from both of the hip joints. So that's what the glutes are designed to do. They abduct, they externally rotate. So now that we got the strap on the ankles, we're working on internal rotation. Where do you think you should be feeling it? Whether you think you should feel it there or not, most likely you are feeling it there. You feel it in the very front of your hips, maybe in your groin area. right where your pockets would be if you were wearing a pair of pants. Right. So that's called our tensor fascia latae. It's a very superficial muscle, it means it's close to the skin. It is a secondary hip flexor, but its main function is to internally rotate from the hip. Yay! Hope you feel that. Just a few more here. I know one of you would be hating this if we were still in this position because your body is not ready. It's not prepared to do this just yet. That's why we must listen to the body. So if this is starting to hurt you in any way, we've got to stop and you've got to do one of the modified moves that I asked you to do. Okay, we're going to take the strap off of the legs. I am going to give you reverse skydiver. This one's a weird one because it does involve the muscles that we were just trying to turn on, everybody. But here's how it goes. I'm going to show you again. It's face down move, but we're going to take the arms in a different position. So it's going to be in the position that we usually do when we're laying on our back, goal post, except I'm going to be laying like this with my fist into the floor. The nice flat part of my fist are going to be right in the floor. And that's going to take my elbows up towards the sky. We're going to keep the arms in that position, which can be kind of tough to do. If that bothers you, then you can lay on your back and take your arms into this position with your elbows on the floor. And you can just do gentle squeezes into the floor. But everybody else who's ready to come with me into reverse skydiver, this is a hip exercise. Watch what happens to my butt when I do this movement. Darn static back blocks in the way. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is kind of press my knees into the ground. The only way I could describe this is booty up. That's what I learned when I used to manage for one of the pole dancing studios. We did this move called booty up. And you push your knees into the ground and your butt would come up. See that? So what we're actually recruiting is that front part of the hip that we just turned on with the strap to pull the pelvis into an anterior tilt, and then you lower it back down. It's an up and a down, up and a down. We're going to do that while we keep the arms in this reverse skydiver position. Some of you might like this position. If you don't, then you're going to lay on your back and you're just going to do reverse presses. So you're going to lay here and you're going to squeeze your shoulders into the ground lightly over and over. Whatever you guys do, we're going to squeeze out 3 sets of 10 on this one. 3 sets of 10. Reverse skydivers. Here we go. Doors open, clear, and go for it. Over and over. It really is a focus on pushing the knees into the ground so we can get the front part of the hip to activate and get this done. The muscles in the back can definitely help, and they can also overwork here and be compensators. But if they are, that's okay too. At least we're getting the motion done. And eventually, as you start waking up other muscle groups, they'll start taking over. It might take some time. I've met a lot of people who are so stuck they can't quite get this. Their muscles forgot how to move. So even if you're doing this and you're in compensation, it's okay. This move is reverse skydiver. It's one of the ones that I pulled out of the 500 or so exercises that I used to have access to. You never see this anywhere. So I'm digging into some of the old stuff. Squeeze out about 10 more. You want to go as evenly as you can. It's almost as if I'm trying to pull my knees in towards my chest, but the floor is in the way. So what happens is my tailbone starts lifting up towards the sky because the floor is in the way. Again, this exercise is really helpful for people who have a C-curve spine because it's going in the opposite direction. It's asking for anterior tilt. Fabulous. I tell you, my shoulder is really liking that reverse skydiver. I'm glad I did it today. I'm actually going to go back to it later for myself. I really like how that felt, and I hope if you guys enjoy how these things feel, that you'll give it a try as well. I'm going to flip you guys over onto your back. We're going to do a flexion abdominals exercise, which means it's going to be work. Grab your pillow or your block. We're going to utilize that too. We're actually going to do crunches, and it's in a different style than you were taught in whatever gym you went to. Crunches back in the day, I remember when they became popular, we started using them in gym class when I was still in school. What the heck is this? Oh, this is the new way to do a sit-up, because somebody decided sit-ups are bad for you. No, they're not. They're only bad for the posture that you bring to it. So when we do our flexion abdominals position, what I want you to do is think about upper body staying in extension. Our crunch will not look like this. I don't want the elbows coming forward. I don't want your upper body rounding. That's what's going to make this challenging. Instead, you're going to find a place on the ceiling behind you and look at it. You cannot lose that. Do not let that get out of your vision. If that gets out of your vision, you pointed your head towards something else and you probably rounded. So I don't want you to do that. We're going to put the block in between your knees. And bless you if you can get this done sitting in a chair. It's not going to be quite as difficult for the upper body or even the abs, but it will be quite difficult picking the legs up. So if you want to do this in a chair because you can't hit the floor with me, that's okay too. We're going to do the crunch, but we're also going to lift the feet off the floor 2 to 6 inches and lower them back down. We're not trying to touch. I don't want to touch my nose to the block. So keep your elbows back, everybody. We're going to go for 25 of these. So I'm looking at my spot. I'm keeping it in my vision. 2 to 6 inches of a lift for your upper body, 2 to 6 inches for the lower body. Go. Notice I'm not really moving a whole lot. I'm trying to focus on keeping my form. My shoulder blades stay back and down. My elbows stay back and down. I'm looking at that spot on the ceiling and I'm not losing it. I lost count. I got to start over. What do we have? 100? Okay, 100. 99. Can't keep a straight face. What was that? Some of you are up to 15 already? Okay. 15, 14, 13, 12. Elbows back, my friends. Even if you just squeeze out one, do something. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and done. 1 and done. Let's do it. Cats and dogs. Cats and dogs can get done on hands and knees, or it can get done sitting in a chair. All we're doing is bending the back and forth, back and forth. Flexion, extension. Sometimes when people have done cats and dogs and their wrists are really bothering them, take that reverse skydiver position I told you about. No flexion in the wrist, put your fist into the floor. Let's do some stuff on the wall. I like the wall. Let's do stuff on the wall. We're going to do a standing wall twist. Standing wall twist is a lot of fun. If you don't have a wall, you can certainly use a door. We're not taking up a whole lot of space. We're going to stand about 8 to 10 inches away from the wall. It's about maybe a forearm's distance. I know that's closer to a foot, but that's about the distance you want to stand away from the wall. I'm going to stand with my left leg towards the wall. So my right leg is towards the center of the room. I'm going to put my right foot in front of my left and touch my heel to toe. That's going to make it kind of tough and challenging. But remember, we're going to be leaning on the wall, so just bear with me. Now distribute your weight evenly between your front and your back foot. And you're going to twist your body towards the wall, similar to the position we came out of with the reverse skydiver, except we're going to stance the arms out really wide, like we're halfway through a push-up. Does everybody feel that on their left shoulder blade? That's what we're going for. This twist should help you to engage that shoulder blade and almost force it back. My thighs are tight, so I'm not bending my knees at all. And I'm still checking that distribution of weight. I'm not leaning heavy on my back leg or my front leg. Let's keep it as even as we can. My hands are about the height of my shoulders. They're certainly not the height of my nose. You'll know it when you feel it because it should feel really good. Like, that's me doing a push-up without any load. It's not really that challenging. It just feels like a good stretch. We're going to switch to the other side. You could do that cool Michael Jackson spin. I call it Michael Jackson because I used to do it when I taught Zumba. When you reset, I am with my right leg close to the wall. My left leg is towards the center of the room. I'll put my left leg in front, touch my heel to toe, distribute my weight, and twist towards the wall. Keep your knees straight, everybody. Keeping the knees straight is going to force all of this work to happen in the hips and the pelvis. Once the knees bend, it's like a broken seesaw. It's not leveraging off that middle point anymore. Once it's broken, the leverage is gone. And it's not a fun ride. As if my class is a fun class. Come on. The same thing here. Hands are about the height of your shoulders. They're stanced out wider than your shoulders. If I took my hands off the wall, I'd still be standing here upright, no problem. So I'm not leaning heavy into the wall. I'm under my own power. Standing wall twist. Let's come out of standing wall twist. Let's go back down onto the floor. Let's go back down to the floor. Bring your strap and your block with you. Keep it nearby. All right. Hopefully that wall twist opens some stuff up. Maybe you found a new move that you like. We're going to do hip crossover stretch next. I'm going to put my arms out to a T with my palms face down. I'm in the hook lying position, which just means my knees are bent. I'm going to cross my right ankle to my left knee. I twist through my lower back and let my legs fall to the left. Our goal is the floor, but I don't want you to slide your leg across the floor in order to reach it. 1 minute. I'm also not letting my right knee fall in towards me. I am using effort to point my right knee towards the sky. If you wanted to do this in a chair, all I'm doing is crossing my legs like a guy to leave that nice open triangular shape between my legs. I'm twisting my upper body and holding it. That's it. If it feels easy, you're probably doing it wrong. So maybe check your twist if you're following that verbal advice with the modified twist, sitting in a chair. You want to twist towards your bent knee. Come on out. We're going to go to the other side. I'm going to show you a different view. So now I'm doing my left ankle to my right knee. And I'm twisting. Notice my leg is not sliding across the floor. There's no sliding. As soon as your legs start sliding, you know your body began cheating And it's avoiding the work you're asking it to do, avoiding the work you're asking it to remember. No sliding. Everything should stay where you put it. Great, come out. We're just going to do some knee drops just for good measure. Knee drops are hook line position. I'd like you to go a little bit wider than hip distance though. Don't have to. Leave your arms in a position where it feels nice and comfy, and just like a windshield wiper. Your knees will go back and forth. This is guided from your hips. That's where we're initiating, engaging from. Engaging from. Keep your feet parallel when you do knee drops. You don't want your feet sliding along the floor either. You want to keep them in place. If you notice they have slid, I want you to bring them back to the original position. Can you do knee drops in a chair? Yes. It's a little more awkward. Big deal. Go ahead, do it. Just some knee drops. Okay, let's get into some shoulders. Leave your block and your strap nearby. We're going to do elbow curls from frog position. I know, it's a little weird, right? Kill two birds with one stone. So I'm taking you into frog, soles of the feet are together. Everything's laying on the floor, knees drop out. You can do frog sitting in a chair. You just got to get a little creative. Maybe put something else in front of you and raise your feet up so that you can do it. I'm going to take the modified golf grip or just your fists. If you don't know what modified golf grip is, nice flat open palms, thumbs pointing out. Knuckles go to your temples, everybody. Knuckles to temples. Open up. So my elbows hit the floor, but it's more than that. It's not just resting the arms on the floor. It's an engagement of your shoulder blades back and down. So even though my elbows touch the floor, I'm actually pressing into the floor. So both of my shoulder blades engage back and down. And then I bring my elbows together to touch in front of my chin, but I don't bend my wrists to do it. Some of you whose shoulders have been stuck for a while, maybe you didn't even know it. You're going to do this and you're going to get stuck right here. And you're going to go, well, I'll just bend my wrists to touch my elbows. Don't do it. Don't do it. Because if you do that, you're not going to be able to tell if you make any progress, right? Just like cheating. Every one of these exercises is also a functional test to see, what do we got now? You don't want to be honest with me? Fine. Don't be honest with me. Be honest with yourself, though, please. So don't bend your wrists. Sorry if my arm is hitting my mic and it sounds like over and over scuffing. Sorry about that. If you're still okay staying in frog position, let's stay in it for pullovers now, everybody. If you're not okay in frog position, go to static back or go to hook line position or skip the move. Go ahead, go get yourself a cup of coffee. I don't know, maybe some water. Pullovers now, everybody. Elbows stay straight in this move too. I'm interlacing my hands and touching my palms together. Every time I do these moves, I think of clients who have gone through these moves. And some of the funniest and sometimes most frustrating situations start popping up, but I love sharing them with you because I'm transparent like that, to a fault. I'm transparent to a fault. My one client, she loves to do this, but she cheats. Gosh, she just cheats and cheats and cheats. Like, what are you doing? What have I told you? I feel like a mom. What have I told you before? You're cheating. So interlacing your hands, your palms must be touching. This isn't just kind of faking it with your fingers and just wrapping your fingers around so that your elbows can be off so that you can cheat and hit the floor. No. She's such a cheater. These are pullovers. All right, pullover fans. We're done with our pullovers. I'm going to finish out on the floor with some cats and dogs. And we're going to do some tougher stuff. Remember, we did side unders and front unders and stuff. And we're going to go back to those again. It's time. Cats and dogs. You might notice your cats and dogs feel a little bit different now. All right, I told you to keep your block and your strap nearby, right? I'm going to get you into the chair. And we're going to do strap work and block work. And then we're going to do some side unders, front unders, and things that get the heart rate up. Okay, block. We're now in a vertical position. So we're loading the hips in a different way. I want you to put the block in between your knees for sitting knee pillow squeezes. We will add some sit to stands if I actually get you guys to remind me. Sometimes I forget. Okay, we're going to sit in extension when we're doing seated knee pillow squeezes. So instead of slouching from your seated position, I want you to bring your pelvis into an anterior tilt. I am not lifting my sternum to do this. I'm doing that reverse skydiver move like I did on the floor. Put a little arch into your lower back. Squeeze over and over and over again onto your pillow or your block or whatever the heck you have. Over and over and over. Try to keep the arch in your lower back when you do this. Even if you're compensating to do it, eventually the right muscles are going to kick on. The muscles that I would like to pull your pelvis into an anterior tilt is the hip flexor, the iliopsoas. This is a muscle that ends up in the front and actually starts from your back. It originates in the lumbar. And it terminates on the thigh bone and the inside. Inside. All right, sit to standers. If you're willing to come with me, which I'm sure everybody is, we're going to do some sit to stands. I'm going to squeeze out 10 of them. You're going to interlace your hands, put them behind your head, and draw your elbows back. The upper body stays in extension while we do this move. Tendency is for you to start rounding, to throw your body into it to lift up, but I want this to be a lift. Excellent. Somebody did it already. You're tired of hearing me talk, so am I. Stand and sit back down. There's going to be some amount of throwing you forward. I heard something fall. I thought somebody pulled that block out from under me, right? There's a little bit of throwing, but you want it to be a lift. Feet stay in the place where you put them. Block stays between your knees. Elbows stay back. Elbows stay down. Back and down. If this bothers you, if it's pushing your head forward and it's hurting your neck, put your hands on your shoulders and draw your elbows back. Put your hands on your hips and draw your elbows back. Eye up your strap. We're going to put the strap around the knees next, ladies and gentlemen. I'm putting the loop of the strap around my legs just like it was a dress. Same idea, sit in extension, so the pelvis is in an anterior tilt. Push out on your strap repeatedly. Repeatedly, over and over and over again. What do I do? If everyone is ready, sit to stands with the strap. You don't have to apply terrible pressure to the strap, but it better not fall. Elbows back, go. If that strap falls, that means your knees dove in. That means your hip flexors are usually really weak. And there's an inward rotation of your thigh muscle. So you got to keep that pressure on the strap. Push out, wake up the butt. Shouldn't have to turn around to reach back with your hand in order to help yourselves into a seat. This is really getting your hips to wake up and become the driving force of your body again. We're going to squeeze out some side unders. Let's see if we have time for front unders. I love side unders. They feel so good. And when I'm done with them, gosh, am I walking different. Kick my crap to the side. Side unders, just like last time. Pretend there is a limbo line. I got this long limbo line. It's pretend. Limbo line here, everybody, right? A limbo line. Imaginary. I'm going sideways under it. Keep your body square forward. No twisting to get under this limbo line. Here's how my cue goes. I go like this. Feet always stay parallel. Feet stay parallel during this move. My cue is break it down, extend the leg. So I'm going to think about it going underneath my imaginary line. Meanwhile, the weight is on my opposing leg. See? I extend the leg. I am loading my left hips with my right leg's going under. Shift the weight. Replace the leg, stand up. That's my cue. So what we're really doing is loading one hip at a time, shifting over to the other, load that hip, and replace. Let's do it for a minute, see how you do. Break it down, extend the leg, shift the weight, replace the leg, stand up. Nice and segmented. Break it down, extend, shift, replace, stand up. Now, while you do this, break it down, extend. I want you to double check. Are you pushing through the opposite leg or drawing through the other leg? Both is going to happen to some degree. But just double check. What is happening in my body as I break it down, extend the leg, and shift my weight? Am I pushing with my opposing leg or am I pulling with the leg? Shift the weight, replace, break it down, extend, shift, replace. Everybody's looking great, staying nice square forward, break it down, extend the leg, shift, replace. I just put my hands into this pose because I used to teach yoga. So I have the tendency to kind of do the namaste. Relax, everybody. We're gonna do some front unders. Still imaginary line in front of me, except I'm going to go front ways under it. I'm going to step my leg forward. Now I have to go under the line. Again, I'm staying square, no twisting. I have to go under this imaginary line. So I do get down to my knee and duck under. It's down to you how low your line is. So if you don't want to get down to the knee, don't. I duck under, move forward. So all my weight is now shifted forward on my front leg. I stand up on it and replace. Next time I do it, I'll step the other leg forward. I get down on my knee, I duck back, under, shift forward, and stand up. Let me give you a minute. Let's get her done. Imaginary line. Step forward, break it down, shift back, shift forward, stand up. Step forward. Break it down. As low as you want to go, you don't have to hit the knee on the floor. It's an imaginary line. And stand up. Step forward. Break it down. Shift back. Shift forward. Come up. Step. Break it down. Shift back. Shift forward. Come up. Step. Break down. Shift back. Shift forward, come up. Step, right down, shift back, shift forward, come up. step, break, back, forward, up, and we run out of time. Let me give you some final moves. What are we going to give you? Tired of air bench. I'm tired of air bench. Let's do a windmill. Let's do a windmill. Ha! Strike that. Let me give you a hard one. Let me give you a hard one. Triangle. Spread your legs open real wide. If you got a wall, good. Get to it. If you don't, you're like me, imagine your wall. Legs are open real wide, feet are parallel. I'm going to focus on my left foot. I'm going to turn that foot perpendicular. Perpendicular. Now, my hips, I'm going to shift them out to the side, my right side, like I'm holding the baby on it. My perpendicular foot is the angle that I'm going to lean towards. So my arms are out like a T if I can muster it, and lean over towards that perpendicular foot. 5 breaths. Usually we do it for a minute, but I want to give you the other side to this move. Some of you are doing windmill. That's cool. You know windmill, go ahead and do it. But if you want a little challenge today, work triangle with me as well. I'm going to come out of triangle and go for the other side. I start out with my feet parallel. I'm going to turn my right foot perpendicular. Baby on my left hip. Ooh, nice pops in the hips. You feel that opening? Arms out. Lean over. Ooh, this side's different. 5 breaths. Everything you want to adhere to this imaginary wall behind you, your hands, your butt, everything. Imaginary wall, touch it, open, stay flat. I'm going to come out. I'm going to give you a squat, free squat for 5 breaths. Feet are parallel. We're sitting in the chair that isn't there, except if you're all right with it, put your arms out in front of you, squeeze your shoulders back. I'm still trying to keep that S curve in my spine, so it's not like Utkatasana, chair pose in yoga. We're not tucking under or holding any energetic lock or bandha. It's just like when we were sitting doing our kneeling, our knee pillow squeezes. We're in extension of the pelvis. 2 more breaths. Shoulders back, keep them there. And we're done. Great, I squeezed out some sweat on me. I hope I squeezed some work out of you guys. See you next week. Thank you for your time today. Oh, love to see you.